Welcome back to the another episode of Daily Quiz for IAS Prelims 2025. It is 9th October today, and in this video we are going to derive questions from these important articles which are mentioned on this slide. Before we will start our discussion, I would like to introduce this initiative to you guys so that you may get more connected with the video. You know, every day in this video we discuss three types of questions. The first set of questions which we discuss here are taken from the current affairs topics. What we do, we take up the most important articles from the newspapers. We derive prelims based questions from those articles so that it will give the idea how the questions can be framed by UPSC faculty from the current affairs. And the another set of questions which we discuss here are from the static portion. Every day we had started discussing the static portion here, and we had started with Indian polity. And today, right now, we are discussing the fundamental rights, and today we are going to put some light on Article 15 and derive prelims based questions on that too. After discussing these questions with respect to the current affairs and the static portion, we will shift our approach towards the previous year questions. We will solve a few previous year questions. We will try to find out the ways and methods by which we can solve those questions, and also we will find out what is the pattern used by the UPSC and how can we implement that knowledge which we get from these questions in our next exam. So this is all about this initiative. Now, before we will start before we will start putting some light on the context of the questions, I would like to request you guys few things here. The first thing which I want you to do is please watch the video till the end. It may seem boring to you, but trust me, it is worthy to watch. You know why? Because as I already told you, we had discussed questions from various sources, from current affairs, from static portion, and from previous year questions. And this is the material where from the UPSC also asks the questions. And trust me, who knows when the exams would be there? Who knows? Many questions can coincide with these questions. So it is better for you to watch the full video and get the most information as possible, get as much as information as possible. And also I would like to request you guys, please please do note down these questions which we discuss here. These are going to be very much important for you. When your exams would be near and you would want to revise your current affairs, at that time it gets really hectic and it is practically impossible to go through the current affairs of the whole year. But if at that time you have these questions with you, you would just have to read these questions. These questions would definitely connect you with the current affairs of the year, and also it will boost your confidence by before entering the exam hall as you are solving many prelims based questions. So this is another request which I want you to do is please do note down these questions or at least take the screenshot of these questions. Then third thing which I want to request you guys is please do subscribe the channel, share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited from this initiative. And also please do write in the comments what do you feel about these videos. Are they informative? Do we need to improve anywhere? Is there any misinformation? We are humans, we can make mistakes. If there is any misinformation, you can write that in the comment section. We try our best to give the best possible information to you guys, but as a human we can make the mistakes. So please do write in the comments, and also write about our teaching style. If it is not good, we may change. And in nutshell, I want to say that this initiative is for you guys. Please interact with us. You can say whatever you want, you can criticize us, but be a little polite while criticizing, be a little respectful. And also please do subscribe the channel and share it with your friends so that they may also get benefited from this initiative, and it will boost our morale and it will boost our confidence, and that confidence will eventually tend us to make more videos, such videos. Now with this, without wasting any time, let's have a look at the context of the questions which we are going to discuss today. The first article which was in the news is about why is textile industry struggling to perform better. Let's it is it is a huge topic in itself. If we will talk on 2 to 4 hours over it, I don't think that would be enough. That would do enough. That would do enough justice with this topic. But let's try to get some basic points about it. Let's try to get the gist of this topic itself. Why it is in news? Because recently we had seen the Union Ministry of Textiles, they had argued that by 2030 they are going to make the total business from textiles is they are going to reach the total business of textiles to 350 billion. It is a huge number. So with respect to this, are we really going to achieve that by 2030? So this is the real question. Let's try to understand the recent trends in the textile industry with respect to that. If we look at the present situation of our textile industry, right now, the present value of our textile sector is 153 billion. It is at that level, and if to reach the level what the Union Ministry is saying, to reach up to the 350 billion, how much every year we have to increase by 10% production. We have to increase the GDP by 10% in this sector, and then only we will reach to that point. So with respect to this, what is our contribution to the world? Let us know that India is the third largest textile exporter globally, and that gives the number 5.4% of this share. 5.4% of the share is from India. And also, second largest manufacturing capacity, India has the second largest manufacturing capacity with respect to it. Also, if we look it in the GDP numbers with respect to the other manufacturing classes, the GDP number which is given by the textile industry is 2.3%, to the GDP of all the manufacturing happening in the India. So this is in nutshell about the textile industries right now in our country. Now let's understand what are the recent trends which has led, which the author here tries to explain that the term which was mentioned by the Union Ministry is very much impossible, is very much difficult to achieve, because the recent trends show differently. If we look at the trends from 2022 to 24, it is highly downward. It is downward trend. We are very much going in downward direction rather than increasing our textile industry, increasing the exports or imports with respect to that, increasing the margin of the textile industry with respect to that. So here comes the question: why is there so downward trend? So here the article explains what can be the possible reasons why there is that downward trend, and he gives us few terms with respect to it. He says that first, the geopolitical conditions right now, the Israel Palestine war, Russia Ukraine war, Israel Hamas, and Israel Iran, US China, and India Pakistan, as it usually has been since the decades. So according to the author, this is one of the reasons that the textile industry is not performing that good. A lot of issues has been created by this, the piracy happening in the Red Sea, and all that stuff has included in the downward trend of the textile industry. Then the another thing, what the author here mentions is about the raw material costs are going up for cotton as well as man-made fibers. Also, he talks about the sustainability of the cloth matters. Then also the impact of the e-commerce. It has led to the lower margins, and it has led to the downward trend of the textile industry. Then he further talks about the consumer behavior has also changed. So when he collaborates all these issues with the textile industry, then he leads to that. He says that these are the major trends with respect to the decline in the textile industry, or a downward trend of the textile industry. He further says there is 10% import duty on the textile, on the raw materials. Because of that, the raw materials get higher rates. The cost of the raw materials increase. So according to the author, if this 10% import duty on the raw materials will be reduced, it will definitely impact in a good way. It will help in boosting the textile industry. So this is in nutshell about the why is textile industry struggling to perform better. So with respect to this, we will solve a prelims based question and get more idea about it. Then the another article which was in the newspaper today is about the last coal-fired thermal power plant has been phased out in UK. So this is also one of the very interesting topics in today's newspaper. It was the Nottinghamshire, the last coal-fired power plant was in Nottinghamshire, and it has been shuttered. It has been, phased out in UK. Now, what the author now the what the world is saying, it in the developed world is saying that, developing countries who are using these coal-fired power plants, they should also follow the UK trend, how they had phased out these coal thermal power plants. But according to the author, this is not very good suggestion given by the world to the developing countries, because the approach has been different. This, according to the author, this approach of one thing fits everywhere does not apply here, because if we look at the history, to understand this topic, we have to understand the history itself. If we will look at the history, we will go back to the, how when they, when in when they started to phase out, when the coal industry peaked in the UK. When we compare it with India, we will see different trends in that. We will see the huge time span in it. When UK did not started it to phase these power plants from last 10 or 20 years only, but they started way back in 1952 itself, when there was the great smoke of London. Because of that, it led them the understanding that it is better time to save the environment and go for these phasing out. And also the peak which they achieved was in the 1960s, 1970s, and from later on 1980s they started to phase out these one by one. And finally, in yesterday, or we can say, they phased out their last power plant. So with respect to this, we should know that with respect to the Britain, when they had their first power plants, they started the coal power plants way back in the 1850s itself, or we can say in 1800s itself, and they matured very well till 1970s, 60s, and now they had enough time to to phase them out. But if we look at the India, we had after independent India, it was 1950s itself when we had our first power plant, if I'm talking about the independent India. But if we look at the United India before the independence, it was in 1920s when Hussain Sagar thermal power plant was introduced. But that was for what purpose? That was for the extraction of the raw material, which was used for the colonial benefits. So, in a nutshell, what the author is trying to say, that what the UK has done, they had used the coal power plants, they had polluted the environment, they had taken their time, and finally they matured in it. They had enough time to go for the alternative resources, and now it is easy for them to phase these out. But for India, it is not the same situation. We had not yet matured in it. We are yet to reach the phase where we will mature in it, then we will go for the phasing out. So according to him, it is not that we should follow the same what the UK is doing right now, but we will take our time, we will do it in our way, what would be good for us, what would be good for our economy. We will try to find out the alternatives first, we will try to go for the greener economy, and finally when the time permits us, we will go for it too. It is in nutshell about this article. Then the third article which was in the news is about the how the workers in gig economy face huge problems. We had discussed this topic many times. These are the contractual based workers, or they don't they are they are they serve huge in the economy, but they don't have any job security, they don't have any social security or safety. For example, if we will go out, or we often order from Zomato or Swiggy, anything, and if suppose if any of the employee, any of the gig worker gets any accident, he won't be getting any medical benefits from the company. And also for the company, it is very good. If we look it in the perspective of the company, it is very good, because they don't have to pay extra to their workers. They don't have to give the insurance, they are not they don't give any security to these people. So with respect to this topic, we also saw that how Karnataka brought out the bill with respect to them. We had discussed that topic also in very much detail, how they tried to regulate the gig workers. So it is very important to understand what are the issues faced by them. So with respect to this, we will solve a prelims based question and get more idea about it. Then finally there was another article. It talked about the machine learning pioneers with Nobel Prize. In physics, it is John Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton. They were the pioneers of the machine learning. They were the pioneers of the artificial neural networks. They had got the Nobel Peace Prize in the physics. So this is what we need to know with respect to this. We will solve a prelims based question. And then finally there is another topic with respect to the India has eliminated trachoma, which is an eye issue, an eye disease issue. It is a bacterial infection which we will solve through question, get more idea about it. So this is all about the current affairs, important current affairs topics which were in the news today. So with respect to this, we will try to solve the prelims based question and get more idea about it. And after we solve these questions, we will shift towards the static portion which we have discussed, that is article 15. And after discussing this article 15, we will solve a prelims based question on that, and finally we will reach to the previous year questions. So the main idea about discussing this slide was that to give you the basic idea, the basic gist of the news which was in the newspapers today, which is important for you. So with this, let's move to the another slide and try to solve the questions one by one. Here the first question is about the let us see what the question says. It says, which of the following factors has contributed to the declining trend of the textile industry in India in recent years? The first statement, geopolitical issues like Russia-Ukraine war, 100% correct. That has led to the declining trend of the textile industry. Second, raw material costs are going up, 100% correct. Nothing wrong with this statement. Third, declining labor availability, 100% correct. This is also one of the issue. And fourth, consumer behavioral change, 100% correct. This is also one of the issues. So with respect to this question, which are the factors that has contributed to the declining trend of the textile industry, we can say all the four are the factors which led to the decline of the textile industry. So with respect to this question, the correct statement is option C. With this, I hope you had understood the topic itself, and you had, by solving this question, you had got the basic idea why there is a decline in the textile industry. With respect to this, let's move to the another question and try to solve that. Here the question says, what was the name of the first coal thermal power plant established in independent India? It is not talking about the United India, it is talking about the independent India. And in which year was it commissioned? Is it Obra thermal power plant station in 1960s? No. Is it Ramagundam thermal power plant station? No. Is it Cobra thermal power plant station? No. Is it Trombe thermal power plant station? 100% correct. This is the correct option. It is in Bombay. So with respect to this question, the first thermal power plant established in independent India is Trombe thermal power plant. Which is the first power plant established in the United India before independence? It is Hussain Sagar thermal power plant, which was formed in 1920s. With this, I hope you had got the basic idea about the topic which we discussed earlier, and by solving this question, you had got the basic idea about the thermal power plants when it started in India itself. With this, let's move to the another question and try to solve. It says, which of the following issues are commonly faced by gig workers in India? Lack of job security, 100% correct. Absence of social security benefits, 100% correct. Unregulated working hours, 100% correct. And limited access to training and skill development, 100% correct. So with respect to this, all are the issues faced by the gig workers. So with respect to this, the correct answer is option C. All the four statements are correct. Now with this, let's move to the another question and try to solve that. It says, it is with respect to the Nobel Prize in Physics 2024. It says, which of the following statements about the Nobel Prize in Physics 2024 is correct? First statement, the prize was awarded for machine learning, that is artificial neural, sorry, it is not neutral, it is neural networks, 100% correct. Statement 2, the recipients were John Hopfield and Geoffrey Hinton, 100% correct. So with respect to this, the correct statements are, is 1 only? No. Is it 2 only? No. It is both 1 and 2. So the correct statement is option C. With this, let's move to the Last question with respect to the current affair today. It is about which of the following statements regarding trachoma is are correct. First statement, trachoma is caused by a bacterial infection, 100% correct, and the bacteria which causes is Chlamydia trachomitis. So the first statement is correct, 100% correct. Statement 2, it is a leading cause of preventable blindness worldwide, correct, and India has eliminated it. Third, the disease is primarily transmitted through contaminated water. No, it is primarily transmitted through the fluidal contact or direct contact with the patient. Fourth, trachoma can be effectively treated by the antibiotics like azithromycin, 100% correct. So with respect to this question, the correct statements are statement 1, statement 2 and statement 4. And from the code given below, the correct code is option C. With this, we complete today's discussion with respect to the questions from the current affairs. Now let's move towards the static portion. Let's try to discuss that. Here, today's topic is Article 15. Let's see what does this Article 15 say. As right now we are discussing the fundamental rights. We discussed Article 12 as it deals with the definition of state. Article 13, it deals with the any law pre-constitutional or post-constitutional. If it contradicts with the fundamental rights, that law becomes void. We discussed the doctrine of eclipse in that. Then we discussed about Article 14, which talks about the equality, and finally we had reached to the Article 15. Let's see what does the Article 15 say. Article 15 says that prohibition is on the prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth. So there are 5 fundamental points given, which is religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth. On these fundamental points you can't discriminate. So who can't discriminate? It is the state shall not discriminate against any citizen. So here the question comes, what is the state? The definition of that state is given in Article 12 itself. What does the state mean here? Is it just the what is this state? What does the state mean here? We know that it is very much mentioned under the Article 12 itself. It says that state, it can be the legislature, he can be any private person under the government of India. He can be the legislature of it can be the legislature of the state governments, it can be the parliament. So Article 12 clearly defines the state, and similarly the state shall, here in Article 15 is categorically mentioned that state shall not discriminate on the basis of these 5 fundamental grounds, which is religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth. Then it says in access to shops, hotels and places of public entertainment, the use of wells, bathing ghats, roads and places of public resort maintained wholly or partially out of the state funds or dedicated to the use of general public purpose. It does not include the public, private, for example, there is some private swimming pool, you cannot go to their own property and you will violate their privacy. That is not included in here. That's why it is clearly said that maintained partly out of the state funds. Then it says that in Article 15 you can give the special provisions to women also. If you can do these special provisions for those classes which has been discriminated throughout the years. For example, women, scheduled caste, backward classes, children. Here Article 15, if anything you want to do good with the women and children, that it comes under the Article 15. So with respect to this, let's try to recap that what Article 15 says. It is against the prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth. State shall not discriminate against any citizen. And also, if any good you want to do that, there any special provision, you can bring it by Article 15 for women, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, children and all the backward classes. So this is in a nutshell about Article 15. Now with this, let's try to solve a prelims based question. Here the question says, which of the following statements regarding Article 15 of the Constitution of India, particularly in the context of reservation, are correct? First statement, Article 15 prohibits discrimination on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth, correct? Statement 2, it allows the state to make special provisions for the disadvantaged for the advancement of the socially and educationally backward classes, 100% correct. It allows that. Statement 3, Article 15 mandates 50% reservation in all education institutions. Total incorrect. Reservation in word is never mentioned in the Constitution itself, but we can trace reservation from Article 15. So 50% reservation is totally not mentioned in there. Even reservation is not mentioned there. It was Indira Sahni case judgment where this 50% limit was given by the Supreme Court. So statement 3 is also incorrect. Coming to the statement 4, it says the Supreme Court has upheld the validity of reservation in promotions of scheduled castes and scheduled tribes 100% correct. So with respect to this, the correct answers are option 1, option 2 and option 4. And from the code given below, the correct code is option B. With this, let's move to the last part of today's discussion, which is solving the previous year questions. I hope you had understood the static portion and also understood this question too. Now, let's try to solve these previous year questions and get the idea, get some information from here. It's the first question says, in which of the following provinces was Congress ministry not formed under the Act of 1935? In which of the following provinces was the Congress ministry was not formed under the Act of 1955? Is it Bihar? No, in Bihar it was formed. In Madras it was formed. In Orissa it was formed. In Punjab? No, it was not formed in Punjab. So correct answer with respect to this question is option D. With this, let's move to the another question. It says, at which Congress session was the working committee authorized to launch a program of civil disobedience? Is it Bombay or Lahore session? It is definitely Lahore session. So by solving this question, we completed today's discussion. I hope you would like the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.